I'm Sue Morrison from Your Teen Media, and today I'm here with Casey Durkin. She is a clinical social worker and the director of children, teen, young adult, and family programming at The Gathering Place. Casey, thanks so much for your time.
Oh, thanks so much for having me and The Gathering Place, Susan.
I wanted to talk to you about what it's like for kids who have dealt with cancer and now experiencing this time of pandemic.
What I've been hearing from teens and college students, as well as those who've had cancer, but generally those who've had cancer in the family, maybe a parent or a grandparent have had cancer, is it feels similar, particularly those who've had cancer. They feel like it's almost a deja vu, and it's, wait a minute, I've already done this, and now the rest of the world is catching up to me. Now you know what it's like to be quarantined. I was quarantined. And for kids who've had a parent or grandparent with cancer, they have had a lot of things cut back. Sure, they could go to school, but a lot of extracurriculars had to be eliminated. They've had to be very careful about bringing germs into the house and making sure everything was wiped down all the time. Because when somebody has cancer, they become high risk because they're they become immunodeficient.
So teenagers who have a relative that they have regular contact with have to change their behaviors when cancer comes into the family.
Absolutely.
That's exactly what we're doing right now.
And one more similarity is that I found that certainly when teenagers have lost a parent to cancer, they are unsure as to what's coming down the road. Is it okay for me to go away to college? And they begin to question that. Well, in today's world, everyone's thinking, I don't know that I'm going to have a chance to go away to college. College might be online in the fall.
So the experiences are very similar to what they already experienced. Is there a kind of a post-traumatic stress that creeps up for some of these kids?
Not only for the kids, but the parents. And I think it's really important for parents, whether cancer's involved or not, that we always have to keep our emotions in check. And whether it's a parent's little PTSD from the cancer experience, which is certainly very valid, or parents who haven't had cancer who are experiencing major losses. Susan, you know from Your Teen magazine, parents get really into a lot of those developmental milestones, whether it's when kids start to walk and talk when they're little, but at teenagers, it's like graduating middle school, graduating high school, getting those letters of acceptance, going prom dress shopping, or even shoes, or picking out a hairstyle. And that's a major loss for parents as well. And they need to keep that in check so that they can allow their teen to experience the loss and have that validated.
And when it's cancer that causes that same sense of loss, how do you talk to parents, and then how do you encourage parents to talk to their kids?
Very similarly, we really help parents think about, sitting down with their youngster and saying, hey, I know life is different. What can we do to keep this special? And what can I do with you? And let's do some prom dress shopping online.
What are you seeing with the teen groups that you're working with right now? Are you hearing anything that you're surprised by?
I've actually been really surprised by teens' insight into what's going on. I actually did a quick survey last night. We have a phenomenal emerging leader group of kids who, most of them have been touched by cancer. Either they're cancer survivors, they've had a parent with cancer, they've lost a parent to cancer, combined with lots of kids who have nothing to do with cancer, but want to develop leadership skills and be part of the gathering place. And I did a quick survey, and I was really struck with the amount of sadness they're feeling. Sadness overweighs anger, and as well as their insight. I had one teen respond with how worried they are that if their parent, who has, a lot of cancers have really become chronic in today's world because of the great medical research. So they're definitely at high risk due to immunodeficiencies. And the teen wrote, I'm so worried because I know she's immunodeficient. And if she gets this virus, I don't think she can survive.
So the interesting thing about your population is that they probably are taking the restrictions more seriously than some of the kids who haven't dealt with crises in their lives yet. Like I've still seen when I'm going out for a walk, groups of kids together who feel like it couldn't touch them. Are you finding that these kids are taking all of the restrictions very seriously?
What I'm seeing is that they see it as pretty realistic, that this is serious, and they're not as much in denial that this can't touch me or this can't touch my home. They're far more realistic around this can't touch my home.
They kind of skipped a little bit of adolescence because they were forced to grow up sooner.
They skipped a lot of bits of adolescence.
And so I know you had kids respond to a survey. What were the highlights that you can point out to us of what those kids said?
So some of the highlights, I'll just take a peek quickly because I just pulled this together last night for you, is the 100% of the kids said in terms of losses that they're currently experiencing, hanging out with friends. And that's no surprise because that's the most important part of teenagers and college students. They're very social beings. They certainly miss school. They're missing spring sports. Some of them are missing going to church and synagogue. And lastly, some of them have jobs. And even they're very worried. Another thing that was really touching for me is how many are concerned about the world beyond their own homes. They're worried about people losing jobs, people losing incomes. How will this affect families, as well as coming back to how's this going to affect me and how will I be different? Will I get the same education I need to get into the college of my dreams or to go back to school?
And the hardest part as a parent is that we have no answers for those questions.
And what's most important, Susan, is to be honest with that. And I think that's another parenting point, is to be as genuine as you can and just to say, I have never experienced this in my lifetime. And for some of parents out there, their parents have never experienced anything like this. So we're a couple generations apart from the people who actually experienced a pandemic previously, and certainly the flu of 1918. So I think to be genuine with your kids, to say, I don't know what this is like. I can't imagine the losses that you have. And I wish I could change this for you. Let me know if I can be of help.
If I'm a parent who's dealt in some way with cancer in my house, and I have a teen who also lived through that, how do I find resources? I'm desperate right now, and everything feels a little tone deaf to me because we've gone through so much as a family because we dealt with cancer. So where do I look for resources?
Certainly the Gathering Place, and we're available nationally. In this current pandemic, we've moved everything to the virtual realm. So anyone can visit touchedbycancer.org. And I'm actually sending an email every day to our parents. That's called a Family Connection newsletter, to kind of just a little snippet of some things, and as well as some different links of things to do, and including breathing techniques. But we have all of our programs, our support groups, our education programs, cooking classes, exercise classes, Tai Chi lessons, all virtual right now, so that parents can access those, teenager college kids can access those, and everything at the Gathering Place has been and always will be free. And that's just because we have very generous donors.
And you have some webinars coming up?
We have a series of town hall meetings that actually start this Tuesday night. And this first town hall is Dr. Ted Technos, who's the president of University Hospital Seidman Cancer Center. And he's going to be talking about cancer in the COVID-19 world. And what does that mean to people? And he's really very easy to listen to. So he'll be great. We've got lots of them in terms of integrative medicine and just lots of different topics. They're all on our website. And but this Tuesday is the kickoff. And I know that we've already gotten some national signups.
That's awesome. Okay, so you mentioned breathing. Let's end with like a little, how do you do a breathing exercise?
All right, will you do it with me, Susan?
Sure.
All right, I'm gonna cheat because I have a little prop because I've already been outside working in the garden this morning. So I'm just gonna grab a flower. So if you think of, and what I do with my kids that I work with is we think about what's your favorite scent? And kids come up with everything from lots of herbs, basil, lavender, to the dirt on the pitcher's mound. I heard from one varsity player. So what's important is, because we're not always going to have a prop in front of us, is to be able to in your head imagine what that smell is. So a lot of times kids will come up with, and even I, it's like chocolate chip cookies right out of the oven, maybe fresh bread right out of the oven. It can be anything that you think about. And to imagine that scent, and you're breathing it in, but you're breathing it in through your nose as if you're smelling, your candle, my flower. And you're going to breathe it in, and you're going to hold it, and you're going to exhale, and have your exhale be longer than your inhale. And I think it's important to do 10 of these, but how about if we just do 3 of these, Susan?
Perfect. Okay.
Okay, so in through your nose, hold it, exhale, but a long exhale. Let's do another. Hold it, exhale. And our last one. So you just did 3 of these. Do you notice any difference?
I do, oddly, yes.
So imagine that's after 3 mindful breaths, after just 10, and 10 is not even going to take you 60 seconds. And it really allows parents, teens, college kids, everybody to kind of get just resettled, regrounded, and be in that driver's seat.
That was a great way to end for me. I hope everybody listening does the same exercise with us.
So can we end once again with that quote?
Please.
When I is replaced with we, even illness becomes wellness. And that's a very old quote from Malcolm X.
It's a beautiful one. Thank you for sharing with us. And everyone who's listening, make sure you go to touchedbycancer.org
Org.
to find out what's available for you. Thanks, Casey Durkin.
Thanks so much, Susan.